Hello, and welcome. This is the Daily Reset for Success show, and we are glad we are here. We're glad that you're here too. We're very glad almost every day that we get to go live on YouTube, Facebook, and then to all the podcast platforms. Because not only do we need to reset our lives, but we know that most everybody could use a daily reset. And today we have with us Ilene Dillon and Lady Lou, the baby boomer babe.
Hello.
How's everybody today?
Great.
Me too.
Good.
We're excited about this topic. We had Ilene on about 2 weeks ago, and we, of course, ran out of time like we always do. And Ilene was just getting started on some wonderful stuff. So we brought her back because we want to know how to manifest what we want.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity because I don't know about you, Lady Lou, but what I learned growing up is that if you wanted something in life, you had to work hard for it. And many years ago, I had the good fortune of learning that that's not always true. I got a baby grand piano, a used car that was exactly the price I wanted it to be, a new husband. I've manifested things in my life, and it's such an easy process, and I'd really like it, especially if people are if you're working at home and you're doing things on your own, to recognize that you don't have to work hard. What you have to do is to let yourself be a partner with how things work, actually, so that your job is to identify what you want and hold that thought and pair it with your desire, and then allow it to come into your life when it happens.
Oh, you mean sometimes we don't allow it to come in?
No, we don't allow it.
Walk it off?
Well, usually we don't allow it, Marian, because of what we believe. Like if you believe you don't deserve something, or if an interesting one is to believe that it's not okay to get more than your own parents got.
Oh, yeah.
So. Oh, you mean the money doesn't grow on trees, and life is
right. And they suffered and they worked hard, so it's not okay if you don't.
Right.
Ilene,
before you go on, let me just tell people a little bit about you. Emotionalmasteryforlife.com is your website, and you have so much to offer. I've rarely met anybody who not only has as much to offer as you do because of your life experiences, your education, and your profession over the years, but also the willingness to share that. Yes. So that is, it's a gift to us. Lady Lou and I not only had you back on today because you're popular, but we really appreciate the fact that you want to share so much valuable information. Because it's hard out here. It's kind of tough living here on this planet.
Yes. Interesting you should bring that up, because my own life was hard and I was able to learn these things. Sometimes people told me, sometimes I learned them in the School of Hard Knocks. And that's part of my motivation, is I know what it's like to be in the trenches and be suffering. So can I talk to you a little bit more about manipulation and how it works? Not manipulation, excuse me, manifestation. Today is my day to mix those two up. I apologize. Maybe I'm going to manifest some manipulation. I don't want that.
Oh, don't do that. It's not fun. Take my word for it.
At any rate, I knew something about a manifestation, and then I had, as a guest on my own radio program, a man named Greg Braden, whom you may know. He's written The God Code and The Isaiah Effect, a lot of books. He's very much in the forefront of our spiritual changes that a lot of people are making. And in the whole book, The Isaiah Effect, which people might want to read themselves, is him describing how to do what he calls an ancient method of prayer. And that is essentially the method for manifestation. He describes, for example, a friend of his takes him out. He's a Native American man, and they go out, I think it was in Arizona, because they were having a drought. And the man says, come with me, I'm going to go do a ceremony to get it to rain. And so Greg walks with him for hours, and they get to a certain place where there are rocks that look a little bit like Stonehenge. And Greg waits on the side, and this man proceeds to move he closes his eyes, he says some words, and he moves from one of these big rocks to the next. And at one rock, he stops and he rubs his hands over the rock. At another one, he puts his hands up like this. And Greg doesn't know what's going on, right? So they go through this whole thing, and the man says, well, that's my performance there. And they leave. And about an hour later, the bottom falls out. It pours rain, right? So Greg says, what did you do? And he said, well, when I was feeling the rock, I was feeling what the rock feels like when it's wet and slick. And when I had my hands up like this, I was letting myself feel what it feels like to have the rain in my face and hitting me on the arms. So what he was doing through his whole dance was allowing himself to feel what it feels like when you're where you want to be, which is in the rain. You want it to be raining, right? And so Greg,
I always have to make notes when you talk. It's like, yes, okay, Dr. Braden, yes, yeah, feel, yes, feel it. Okay.
So he goes on to explain through the course of his book that the way to manifest, and what we're talking about with manifestation, let me just take a little side road here. We usually say you have to work hard, you have to set goals, you have to do this and that and the other. Really, in my learning, we're all here to manifest what we want. And it's not, oh, I want this $1,000 thing and that $1,000 thing. It's what we want in our heart, right? And so we let ourselves know what we want in our heart. It's almost like that's our guidance telling us what's right for us. And then we make room for that to occur. So manifestation is really identifying what you want and making room for it to come up. And you do it in 3 steps. First, you identify what it is that you want. Mm-hmm. I want it to rain, right? Second, you pair that with an emotion, which is usually a very strong desire. I really want it to rain. I want it so much I can feel it raining in my imagination, right? And you hold those 2 together until you totally feel what it feels like to have created what it is that you want. Oh. You got it? That's it. So you have a thought?
Yes,
go ahead.
I definitely have a thought. So I was thinking, if somebody doesn't really believe this, or they need proof that this works, without doing it yourself and proving it to yourself, I would suggest going to see a book by Dr. Emoto. And what he's doing is demonstrating with water what can occur with your feelings, okay? So he takes the same amount of water in 2 different jars, like say from a river or something, and sets it down and puts beautiful words on one and horrible words on the other. And then he asks his participants to think thoughts of beauty and love, and seeing this water is just glorious. And on the ugly one, he says, please just throw as much hate at it as you can, tell it it's ugly, it's disgusting, all that stuff. And then he freezes the water and he looks at it under a microscope, and you can literally see what your feelings are doing to, through the emotions, okay, through your feelings. It really does work. So you could even do this experiment yourself with just about anything. They use rice, and there's a lot of different experiments. And that will prove to you, and it proved to me for sure, that it really does work. What we feel has substance. It has a force. It's real.
So can we just add to that
Of course.
that we are largely water ourselves, right? So when we're talking about emotions, which is energy, and water can also operate as energy, what we're really talking about is affecting, emotions are felt in the body. So we're affecting the water in our bodies. If people want a more scientific explanation. But the other thing is you can play around with it. I love experiments. You get an experiment, try it for 3 days, try it for a week. I feel moved to tell you a story about me and my husband. My husband and I took a 2-month trip in 2008. We went a month across the ocean on an ocean liner, and then we went to Vanuatu and Fiji, and we ended up in New Zealand and Australia. And we were having a wonderful time. We spent a month in Australia and New Zealand, and we were in Uluru, Ayers Rock area, when I realized that we were due to go on a tour in Sydney on Monday, and our airline flight was on Tuesday.
Oops.
Right? And so we couldn't get there in time. So I told my husband about it, and he tended to be a worrier, and he was more of a glass half empty person, and I'm more of a glass half full. And he looked at me and went, "Oh no, our trip is ruined." And he was working at his computer, and I said, "Listen, would you continue to work at your computer and let me work my magic?" And he said, "Okay."
Okay.
So I called the airline in Australia, and that didn't work at all. I mean, it was $400 more for each person to change it, and we couldn't get there in time and so forth. So I told him that, and he went down again, and I went, "Just keep working with your computer." So I said, "I'm going to use Skype." This was in 2008. It wasn't a thing that was used a lot then. "I'm going to use Skype, and I'm going to call the airlines in the United States." And I got a woman in Arizona working for the airlines who changed the ticket so that we got into Sydney within 1 hour of the time we were planning to previously, or I thought we were. And we each got a $21 refund on our ticket. I don't know how we did that. And he just looked at me because he had told me Skype's not even going to work. And I said, "It will work. We just need to give it an opportunity." So you don't put your negative energy on what I'm doing. I'm just going to try. And part of it, I think, is over the years, I have adopted the idea or the message that I tell myself, this will all work out. I don't know how, I can't see it right now, but I know things work out.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good thing to add too. Yes.
Come out in the wash.
Yeah.
And I do say that to myself too. Hey, we have some audience participation.
Oh, fun.
Karen says, sometimes you want manifestation of justice and peace. That doesn't occur immediately, yet you want it to.
Well, yes, Karen, that's really important. There are a number of people, Lynn McTaggart, for example, she's doing a form of remote viewing to help people heal. And she recently, I think just this weekend, encouraged people all over the world to come together and create justice and peace. So all by saying, I think it's really difficult, especially in these times, for us to do this on our own. We really need to do it in groups, and there are people doing this. The Heart Math people are doing things like this. Lynn McTaggart is. I'm sure you can find it online. And how wonderful. Thank you for being a person who wants to bring justice and peace to the world as well. Thank you for your work and your thinking and your openness to that.
Beautiful. Wow. So, Eileen, what I'm getting is that intention, of course, you have to have the desire for something. Desire, this is a Jose Silva thing, desire, belief, and then expectancy. Jose always taught us that have what it is that we desire, that would be the intention, and then expect it. Desire, believe that you have it, which is the feeling, and then expect it, but don't dig it up. He's always using kernel of corn as an example. If you plant a piece of corn or a row of corn, you don't go and dig up the little kernels every 2 or 3 days to see if they've sprouted. You kill them. So if you just leave it planted, let it go, turn it loose, it happens.
I suddenly understand why my bean seeds aren't doing too well. No, that's a joke. Yes, Marian, excuse me, Lou, that's really so. The only thing I want to add there is about belief, because most of us are not aware that we live based on what we believe. And largely, we don't know what we believe. And so sometimes our belief can actually get in the way. If you can marshal it to the point that you're talking about, it's not a problem. But it is possible that I'll say, I want justice and peace. And there's a part of me that I learned a belief way long ago that that's impossible. And so I won't be able to manifest it, right? So our beliefs are generally held in our subconscious mind. And we can get to know them. In fact, part of the growth process that I work with, whenever I have an experience in my life, I immediately ask myself, what would I have to believe to create this in my life? Let me give you another example. I had a really rough childhood, and I was told that I was the daughter of a prostitute, right? And here I was, 37 years old. My second marriage had ended. I was alone. I felt bad. I was living on the side of a hill, nobody around. I had 2 kids to look after, and life was just not too much fun right then. And I washed my hair and I was drying it in front of the mirror one day. And I said to myself, gee, you don't look too bad. And what did my inner voice say? For the daughter of a prostitute.
Oops.
And I went, wow, that was a heavy lesson to give to myself. I wonder what I could possibly be trying to teach myself. What would I have to believe to bring that to myself? And the voice shot back and said, you sure would need to be humble, wouldn't you? Right? So I realized that somewhere inside of me felt that I needed to learn humility. To me, humility is learning that or constantly remembering that there's something greater than myself, right? And so I put that in, and the influence of that whole belief system disappeared, right? And you can reprogram your beliefs, because the subconscious mind cannot resist repetition. So if you repeat enough times what you really want to believe, it will override any belief that you're carrying that you don't want.
That's good, right? That's a writer downer.
Oh, I love that.
Just keep doing it. It's like you just got to believe it. So just keep doing it. Fake it till you make it type of thing, right?
Well, I find myself creating a statement, all positive, then repeating it verbally, then chanting it, singing it, usually for about 3 weeks. And it takes over. There comes a day where I don't want to do it anymore, and I know that it's set in my brain. And I've
wonderful. I'm
reprogrammed a lot.
I want that one.
I'm gonna watch this video again. Hey, I have a story to tell people that I think might help too. It's a little bit kind of like that, where you're proving to yourself that you can change, you can do things, you can manifest things. So I belong to a group called the Intenders of the Highest Good. And it was a farmer from Hawaii. He farmed avocados. And he had an intenders group that would meet his friends, kind of like a church, I guess. And they would all get together and they would intend certain things and then make it happen. And they were making it happen by, manifesting it. So he decided he was going to manifest a trip to, not to get off the island and go through the United States from California all the way to New York and back with no money, just the shirt on his back. Well, he had pants on too and shoes. Anyway, he did it, and he went from city to city, and he constantly he got people to drive him in the car that he manifested, the color and the style, and the people offered their homes to him everywhere he went. And so I started going to this group that was formed because he came to our town. And I was going to an intenders group. It was July in Houston. So you can imagine what that's like. If you've never been here, July in Houston, you just melt if you stand outside. So I'm picking up a friend of mine, and I forgot my cell phone. So I get to the gate of her apartment that's locked, okay? And I'm waiting for someone to come home from work and just open the door so I can get in and knock on her door and say, come on. And it's not opening. It's 6 o'clock. Sun is just beating down on me. I'm sweating profusely. And I'm thinking, I'm on my way to an intenders group. Why don't I intend that this gate opens? So I said, okay, I'm going to give you 60 seconds. And then this gate, you are going to open within that 60 seconds, okay? So I'm intending, I'm using all the things that they taught me. And, it's like 50, 55, 56, 57. I'm not giving up hope. About 58 seconds in, a brown Bronco was driving by, stuck his hand out the window, opened up the gate for me, and kept driving and waved as he went by.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my God.
It works.
It works. Now, why don't I just need to keep doing that, right? You
Yes.
forget things like that. How powerful was that?
That was fantastic.
Open.
So, and what we need to remember is that these times, 2020 in particular so far, these times are giving us the opportunity to use the energy that we have to direct it for the good, to manifest what we want. I mean, there could not be a time where this is easier. And a very simple way for non-believers especially is to start deciding that you're going to get a parking place right in front of wherever you're going, right? I seldom don't get a parking place right in front, and I drive a 24-foot van. so you just intend it. Now, if you don't get it, you don't go, see there, it didn't work. Oh, what happened this time? I'll keep working on it because I know it will work. No?
Yeah, I've
an easy way to start.
It's an easy one to start with because it gives you confidence. So if I can do that little thing, I can do something bigger and work your way up. You got to crawl before you can walk before you can run, that type of thing. So build your confidence, like Eileen said.
Oh, we have some audience participation here.
Oh, good.
We have, oops, I lost it. There it is. It's Karen again. And Karen says, we live in an ASAP world. You want to wait for W minute, but others manifest their desires, demands for you to get it done right now, not later. We take a deep breath to manifest peace on these demands. I'm not really sure what that means. Anybody want to take a stab at that?
Can I see it again?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, my first thought was, you remember I was mixing manifestation and manipulation up? Here we go with the manipulation. So, Karen, a really important thing is to get your system going so strongly that other people don't have an opportunity to take you over like this. And I know that could sound daunting, but it is possible. I've told you two the story of my husband, a neurosurgeon, and I married him, and within 2 or 3 months, I thought he was the most self-centered person I ever saw in my life, because he kept, I have a yen for this, we'll do this at this time, we don't need to leave before here. Everything was run according to his timing, which was you, but he was a brain surgeon and he was the chief of everything, right? And I thought, well, maybe I've made a mistake marrying this man. But I finally realized that what was really so is that his whole life he had run his life on the basis of what was right for him. And it had allowed him to build what I saw as an energy vortex. There was just this energy that went around inside of him, and everybody that ever bumped up against him got pulled into this energy vortex. And I thought, he's no different than when I first met him. I'm the one who's having trouble with this. So how am I going to deal with his energy vortex? And I decided to create an energy vortex of my own because I realized that I didn't have one, because I had constantly served others and given my power away. And as I did that, I won't say it was easy, because he didn't like me having equal power to him sometimes. But I developed my own vortex. And as I got better at having my own vortex, things became easier between us, because that was who I was then. But I think that's a big part of what we need to do when we run into people making demands that take us away from what's right for us. The real trick is to start strengthening our own self from the inside. And those people will either change or they'll spin out. I kept my husband.
Very good. Well, there's just so much that we can do if we know what to do. So when are we going to have a class?
Very soon, aren't we working on it?
I think this is a good class to have, because I signed up first. Me and Marian, we'll be there, won't we, Marian?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. This Ilene, she's got 2 courses in the works right now. And I'm very blessed, and Marian too, that we're in the emotions class that we're taping now to be put up so that it can be used by others.
Do either of you have her book handy? Emotions in Motion?
Yes.
Oh, okay. But it's just
based on that
a
book.
wonderful class, and it's a 10-week class, and it will be available within, 6 weeks or so, right? Because we haven't finished taping it yet.
Yeah.
And it's ready.
It depends. We've had a lot of impediments,
But you notice it didn't stop us, okay? Because sometimes, you have that many problems, things being thrown at you, you just forget it. It's the universe telling us, not to do it. But no, not us. We're like, okay, that's a problem. We solved that one. Okay, next. Oh, that's another problem. Next.
But that is the essence of what we're learning about, or what I've learned about, and what we're all sharing now about working with emotions, is there's no point in getting all upset. These things come up for our learning. We learn, we accept them, we don't get attached to a particular outcome, and we just skate right through it, and it's not a stress. Is that not so, Marian?
True.
It is for me, yeah.
Yeah. And your other class is on anger, and I'm fortunate to be in that one also. And she's teamed up with another lady who does essential oils, and she's teaching us how to use the oils to control our emotions. It's a beautiful thing. So we'll let you know as soon as those courses are available. Shouldn't be too long. But we'll make sure we'll have Ilene back so she can talk about them.
Yes. And I really appreciate your involvement in the class. I'm so excited to be I've been working on emotions since the early 70s. And how can you discover what's blocking you from manifesting what you want? Anybody else?
Good question.
Ask. The easy thing, Peggy, we've talked about this in the class that we're recording, is the principle is that help that isn't asked for never works. And that means if you want some help, like you want help knowing what's blocking you from manifesting what you want, then you ask. Who do you ask? You can ask your guides, you can ask God, you can ask your higher self, you can ask your own heart. Doesn't really matter. You don't even have to know who or what is out there. Just ask. What is blocking me from manifesting what I want? Please show me. I'm ready to see what it is that's blocking me from manifesting what I want. And you keep asking and keep asking until the answer comes, and the answer will come.
Yeah.
That is
Be open to it.
amazing to be able to talk to myself. I've never, I mean, people always, oh, you'll have split personality if you talk to yourself. You know, people really resist that, but that's one of the things that the universe is teaching me right now. How important it is for me to talk to me, you know, and ask questions and want answers. We have one more comment, and then we're out of time.
Oh gosh.
And it says, I think caregivers run into demands. You work with the mindset that you are given.
I don't quite understand that. Yes, caregivers definitely run into demands. If you're talking about working with the mindset of another person, yes. However, if you if you work on developing your own vortex, then you can ease that person's way of operating into your own. And the other part of answering that question is that you don't always have to accept what other people are giving you, not by a long shot. You can, I used to take Aikido, which is a kind of like a jujitsu. It's an energy form of self-defense. And in Aikido, what they teach you, if somebody is attacking you, you don't attack them back. What you do is you blend with their energy and take them where you want them to go. And that's a system that I certainly would recommend when you're doing caregiving. I realize my husband was ill for 5 years. My sister stayed with us for the last 7 months of her life. I know that it can be a very demanding time, but the more you can know what's right for you and help the other person blend with you, the better you are. Do we have time for me to give an example?
Go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. I'm at work and I have to go.
Marion's at work. Well, darn.
Sorry.
We will have you back. This is such a good topic that we need to continue this one again.
Well, let me just say to Karen, you got my email address there. If you want to write me, I'll give you the story of how I worked with that with my family when my husband was ill. Let me do it that way.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ilene. We appreciate you and your knowledge and your experience and wisdom. Thank you, Marian, for all your good work in the background with the technology. And I'm Lady Lou saying goodbye to our wonderful audience. See you down the road.
And remember, create a fantastic day for yourself. I know you can do it. I have faith.
Manifest.
Yes, manifest it right now.